Brian Sumner, afternoons, Brian in Harlan comes into my office. He said, if anybody knows, you know, where's Kate Middleton? I said, Kate Middleton, Princess Kate.
Yeah.
The royal family.
She's missing?
She's been missing from the public eye. So she had abdominal surgery back in January. She has not been seen out because she canceled like all of her events until supposedly after Easter. But Mother's Day in England was a couple weeks ago, and she released this picture of herself surrounded by her children. So there's George, Louis, and Charlotte kind of surrounding her. Well, the picture had been found to be doctored because something about Charlotte's wrist, like her daughter, her wrist was almost disjointed. And so people called foul and said, no, this is not real. So they're saying that Kate doctored, or someone doctored the picture. Kate comes out and says, I'm an amateur photographer and I wanted to edit it myself. I don't know if I believe that, but anyway.
But what's the big deal?
The big deal is, what is she hiding? That's what the question is. My goodness, all of my friends are, where's Kate today? And so there's this big controversy and there's conspiracy theories about where Kate is. Here's my take on it. She's resting.
Yeah.
Like she
Good.
had
Thank
surgery.
you.
Yes, she had surgery. We don't know what kind of surgery. And I think that the more transparent you can be, the better, because then it kind of squashes all of these questions and theories. And so there's not a lot of information about what kind of abdominal surgery did she have? Why is it taking so long to recover? And so these questions. So the big thing is now, is she going to walk to church on Easter? Because that's a big thing for the royal family. They all get together. They all walk to church. It's the church that they go to is Westminster Abbey. It's about a little over half a mile from Buckingham Palace, which is not where Kate and William live anyway. But that's where they start from typically.
Okay.
So now the world is waiting.
I'm so sorry that I don't care.
Neither does my husband.
Let her have her piece. It's
That's
okay.
my thing.
Why have a conspiracy theory? Lady went through some surgery.
Yeah.
Let her rest.
Well,
so what? She doctors a photo. Who doesn't put a filter on and things today, right?
And that's my thing. But I guess the question comes up is they get some money from the people of Great Britain for their living.
Okay.
And so there are some questions.
But it's royalty. I mean, it's been
that way
thousands of years,
forever,
right?
But there have been these questions in the last, 4 decades of, is the monarchy still viable? And so they're paying them an awful lot of money. Why are you not being transparent? So there's several layers to it.
Rob and Lizz.
His morning crew.
The hair that Scott Watson has, curly locks. So I would imagine Scott would need to know. He has to know.
About net plopping?
Yes, Scott, net plopping.
I've never heard of this. My hair, by the way, is the furthest thing from curly.
Oh, you should see.
It is
straighten
just
it every day.
straight up, spiky,
long and curly. Yeah.
Well, I got to tell you, I've never heard of net plopping before, and I have curly hair. It's not like super kinky curly or anything. Like it's got sort of a wave and a little bit.
She's got a lot of volume of hair.
A lot of volume. And so when I go to straighten it, because if I leave it to just naturally dry, it gets huge and frizzy.
We're talking 80s huge.
Oh my God, without the Aquanet. And so net plopping is something where you put a net that's specifically made for this, a net on your head.
Yeah, we're not talking like you cast one out to get some mackerel.
No, although put a string in it might work. And then you put a satin cap on top of that.
Why two?
So the net, from all I can figure, is the net allows it to sort of air dry a little bit because it's got the holes in it, right? So it's going to keep all your hair kind of close to your head. It's got the holes in it so that the air can get to it. The satin cap goes on top of it. It has this tube-like feature that you attach the hairdryer to at the bottom of, and it pumps the air in, and then it keeps the curls tight. Now you got to use a little product in there too, hair product. And so then when you take the cap off and then you take the net off, you have this beautiful curly hair.
Okay.
And as a curly haired girl, if this works, and I don't know, I've only seen it on social and that can be faked. I get it.
Yeah.
So I need to know, does this indeed work?
So it sounds like Liz is going to do this.
It takes me 2 hours, at least, minimum.
She tells me that. I'm like, huh? How?
To wash my hair, condition the hair, put the hair product in it, and then to dry it and straighten it is a 2-hour process.
Scott has that problem too.
Really?
Well, I believe it because when my wife says, I'm going to go wash my hair, she's gone for like hours. I mean, sometimes days.
And she has super thick hair?
Yes.
Yeah.
Very thick. Very thick. Yeah.
It's a process. And if I could just let it go.
Watch it.
Why?
I mean,
I don't mean let go
sometimes
of it.
Of the hair?
No.
Sometimes you ask for stuff.
No, let it go as in let it air dry.
Hey Liz, I can relate to your problem. If I let my hair go, it just gets frizzier as the day goes on. But several years ago, I learned how to do a French braid down the back of my head. And so I wash my hair in the morning, I braid it while it's wet, and it stays back all day long. That makes getting ready in the morning a pretty quick job.
I've never seen Liz braid her hair.
You haven't?
I don't feel like I have. Not in the morning.
French braids on the side, so it's almost like pigtails, but it's braids. My daughter, when she comes over, sometimes will braid my hair in like 8 different braids. I'll sleep in it, and when I wake up, it's glorious. But she only comes over every now and then and does that because it takes an hour.
I'm sure it does.
All right, Tori said she has a friend that sells Monet products. I don't know what that is. But she said, I would suggest like switching my hair products. She said, I have never loved my hair more. I have curly hair, always hated it. But once I got my scalp healthy, it made a difference. So maybe that's part of the issue.
You never know.
Okay.
Denise is here at 800-447-7234. Hey, Denise.
Hey, I was wanting to comment about the curly hair thing. So I have really, really curly hair as well, and Liz just kind of commented on that. Tell her she needs to try Rizzo's curls.
Rizzo's curls, Liz.
Rizzo's curls.
Yeah.
Rizzo's curls.
That's a hair product?
It is. It's all natural. If you use like all of the products that they recommend, like it's a shampoo, conditioner, and like a leave-in treatment, you'll have great curls. And you can leave it, air dry it, and it'll look fabulous.
I am getting on Amazon right now.
And Denise,
Yes.
it's time for you to try the net plop. Plop the net on the hair. And hey.
And then the satin cap, and then the hair dryer in the tube.
Yeah, it works there. And no Aqua Net, not Aqua Net, just a net.
Right.
Rob and Lizz.
His morning crew.
You get this great big, almost like a Greyhound bus situation, one of these charter buses, and you fill it full of ladies and you go skiing. They call this thing ski therapy.
Okay.
I love this. Okay.
It's a great idea.
Right? So these women didn't necessarily sign up all together, but there might be, 2 ladies that came together and 10 ladies that come together. But it ended up, there were 50 ladies on this bus. They'd been skiing all day, and they're headed back home. This is in Vail, Colorado. Bus breaks down because of the snow. The snow, there is so much snow that there's accidents, there's road closures, there's ice on the road. The bus is having a hard time. Anyway, there's pileups, and then I think their bus breaks down in the midst of all of this. These women had to spend hour upon hour upon hour. I think it was like 12 to 15 hours.
Must have turned into like a camp experience with students.
A little bit. Now,
karaoke happening on the bus.
Right. It would have if I'd have been there for sure. But the bathroom situation was rough for, because, and
that's
then
right.
They ran out of snacks. Because, when you get a bunch of ladies together, you need to have snacks.
Yeah.
Okay, because we get hangry. And we're having fun. We're trying to, I'm sure. Here's how it worked, I think. For the first hour or two, everybody was like, kumbaya. Everybody's getting along. 3 or 4 hours in, you're starting to get on each other's nerves because it's a cramped space. But I
thought this was going to be feel good.
It is, because I'm thinking about, I would love to do this with a group of women. I don't want to
break down in a bus?
I don't want to get broken down on a bus. I want to take the ski trip, the ski therapy.
Yeah.
Bus. One of the best things that we've ever done with my ladies group is we took 11 women to New York City. And I got to be sort of like a tour guide because I'd been a couple of times before.
I can see Liz doing this.
And it was so we got connecting rooms at the hotel.
All of you?
All of us. Yes.
Every room connected so you could open up and...
No. So that's right. There were 2 rooms that connected, and then the third room they couldn't get to connect. So they were kind of on their own. But
that sounds disastrous.
But listen, we would get up in the morning. Somebody would do a coffee run. Like we would go into Little Italy. I mean, it was so, I love these women's trips.
These are good.
I would love to have another one. Yeah. Like a big group to go.
That's cool. Scott has done this with student government, right?
Yeah, when I was in college, I was involved in the Student Government Association, and before classes really started, like the weekend before, they would take a retreat. They would take all of us out. We went to the mountains, I think, in Tennessee once, and they had the guys in kind of a bare-bones cabin. The girls had a much nicer accommodation.
Always.
But we didn't really care. We were just young college kids, so we had a great time brainstorming ideas, for the following year, getting to know each other, and those were some of the best memories, those retreats early in school.
Kelly is here at 800-447-7234. What was your big trip, Kelly?
I went on my first flight on a mission trip to Romania with my church. I was 24. Thought to myself, I can do this, I can fly, because usually when our church went on mission trip, they flew to Washington, and I thought, if I can't do it, I'll get somebody to come pick me up. And our flight was from Charlotte to Germany, and I made the flight, and it was wonderful.
What did you do on that missions trip?
We worked in some gypsy villages, just spreading God's word, and we packed food bags. It was actually 2 days after Christmas, and we were able to spend New Year's there, and it was an amazing trip.
I can imagine. I love going on missions trips. I've been 3-4 times. It was Central America and South America on these mission trips, and they are just so life-changing.
They are. We spent 10 days, I think it was 10 days, in Alaska about 5 or 6 years ago. And I went to Romania to see my daughter and work beside her.
No way. When she was on that world trip?
Yeah, she was on the world race,
Wow.
and that was where we were invited to work beside her.
Rob and Lizz.
His morning crew.
Chuck Norris going into spring at 84 years old.
He's 84?
I believe he, just turned it. Big celebration. Man's a legend. All these memes they had on him. And how does he celebrate his birthday? Puts on punching gloves and starts boxing.
I love this guy, and he loves God. I love him so much.
He says he feels like he's 48.
Wow.
He stays in shape. I mean, he did that Total Gym thing.
Yeah.
Well, at least the infomercials. I don't know if he actually did the Total Gym, but he had those infomercials forever.
Yeah, they're still running from when he was 48, I think.
Yeah, right? They just seem to be. But I just remember all those memes.
Oh,
from
goodness,
Chuck Norris.
Yes. My
you
kids
know?
used to send me those.
Chuck Norris was voted Employee of the Year by a company he never worked at. Is one of the memes. Chuck Norris shot a 10 under par at Augusta. That's good for golf if you don't play golf. Without ever getting out of the golf cart. Chuck Norris stood and waved his hand at his front yard. Now his lawn is freshly cut. All those memes. Remember those memes from long ago?
Sent them to me. Like Chuck Norris can beat your dad up or something like that.
Yeah, all that stuff. They have one where there's a guy that's just laying in a hospital bed, totally wrapped up in bandages, totally wrapped up, even his legs up in those.
The lifts almost.
Yeah,
harnesses.
have the lifts up.
Yeah.
Exactly. And what happened to you? I was in Chuck Norris's parking spot. All those legendary memes back in the day of Chuck Norris. You know them all. I'm sure you could even quote them yourself.
I know. He's just the man, you know?
Right?
He is just the epitome, right?
At 84, I won't be able to move like Chuck Norris.
I don't know. This guy, though, what a great guy.
Rob and Lizz.
His morning crew.
Okay, Scott Watson. Here's a little insight into Scott Watson, the legendary newsman of radio, Scott Watson. He loves ranch dressing. Absolutely.
Not as much as my daughter.
Is so
But I
into
like it.
But she inherits that from you.
I guess so.
I'm
She had
sure.
to learn it somewhere.
So here's something that Scott can tell his daughter, because he'll be the superhero dad in the house. There's some
Good,
new
I need
ranches,
to be it.
new ranch flavors coming out. We're talking garlic ranch. Oh, doesn't that sound appetizing? Put it on your pizza. Nashville hot.
What is Nashville hot? I don't even know what that means.
It reminds you of country music and hot.
Really? So if
Yeah.
I take a bite of something with a Nashville hot,
It's a yeehaw hot.
it's going to be
Why
in my
is
head.
that? Why is that the go-to country lick there? Why is it?
Yeehaw!
Come on now.
She likes country music,
I
and
do
she
like country
portrays
music.
it like that.
Because I am not a musician.
Okay, there's Parmesan Ranch. That's a part of the mix. There is something about jalapeno, creamy jalapeno,
Ugh.
hot honey,
Ooh, I like that.
all this
honey.
stuff.
Hot honey and ranch?
Yeah.
I like the OG.
They even have the Cheez-It Ranch.
Oh.
Yeah.
No, the garlic one sounds good. That does
I'm
sound
going
like
to
a...
run and grab the creamy jalapeno. That sounds
Really?
really good. Yeah.
You like it spicy.
I'm not into any of these. I just want the OG. Just give me the ranch. Don't mix up all this other stuff in it.
I don't know, that garlic thing sounds... It sounds like the perfect vessel for pita.
Rob and Lizz.
His morning crew.
So he's just a little boy. I'd say maybe 7 or 8 years old.
Yeah, I'm
tops.
thinking.
He's on a plane and it's his birthday. Somebody found out on the plane that it was his birthday. Talked to the flight attendants, and here's what they did. They got on the PA, told everybody to close the windows, bring the shade down on the window so it was completely dark in the plane. And all of a sudden, a cupcake came out with little flashlights on it that resembled candles, and they sang happy birthday to him.
I love that so much. Little guy, he was flying by himself as well. Like his parents were not on the plane. He was going to visit somebody. And so I guess the person that was sitting next to him had a little conversation, found out it was his birthday, and that's the one that told the flight attendants. But I love that they asked all the passengers to close the windows and turn the lights on, like the reading light. And it did. It looked like a little party was happening.
It was so sweet. They even had Burger King type crowns.
Like, how did they all of a sudden come up with all of these
Right?
things on the plane? Who
Yeah.
had that in their handbag?
So he's the king of the flight.
He was a little embarrassed at first, but you could tell he was totally into it.
Rob and Lizz.
His morning crew.
This fireball of a meteor fell out of the sky. I think it was around New Guinea. And it was 2014. So we're talking a decade ago that this happened. And when this thing landed, all of a sudden they started hearing what they thought was interstellar signals from aliens.
Through
They're
a
like-
meteor?
Yeah.
Okay.
They're like, oh no, what? Listen to this. Listen to there's got to be interstellar communication from aliens. This is since 2014. They've been analyzing. They've been looking. They've been testing. They've been doing all this. Turns out it was a truck driving by. A truck.
Okay.
All this 10 years later. It was a truck.
Why has this not been in the news before, though? Like, if they were investigating to see if there were life on other planets for a decade, and now we find out, is it an 18-wheeler or just like a pickup truck?
They just said truck.
Okay.
In my head, it could be an 18-wheeler.
I think it's my neighbor's dually.
It's the Ford 150.
Rob and Lizz.
His morning crew.
Tai Chi. I don't know much about Tai Chi. I know it's some kind of exercise, a form of kind of movement. That's all I know about it.
Yeah.
I've seen it in movies. I think Chuck Norris. I don't know. Anyway, so it's some kind of karate. I don't know if I call it karate, but it seems like those kind of moves. You know, the
Yeah.
moves with the hands. It's really slow.
But there's
And
meditation.
the kicks and stuff like that. Well,
Yeah,
I'd
but it's
meditate
also-
on God during that.
Right.
But here's the thing. They say you do that 4 times a week for an hour, it lowers blood pressure. Somebody did some kind of test. They literally put together a group that did aerobic type of activity, walking or cycling or running, something like that, for an hour, 5-6 days a week, and then had people do this Tai Chi. I said it right?
Yeah.
For 4 days a week for an hour. And after all the testing and all this throughout a year, that was the Tai Chi 4 times a week that dropped the blood pressure and lowered it for people.
Yeah, and it even helped. I think they call it the parasympathetic nervous system, but that's your...
Yeah, I always have issues with that.
Well, you do.
I always think about my parasitic or para whatever.
Not parasitic. Oh, my goodness.
What is it?
Parasympathetic.
Okay,
nervous, but it's your digestion and it's how well you sleep.
Okay.
And so that's what it says. It also helps with those things as well as hypertension and blood pressure. So
Okay. All doing these moves like you're Chuck Norris.
I'm thinking we need to start doing it. I don't know how, but
Yeah.
I feel like I'm
She's
doing
moving
the
her
robot.
hands. Exactly. That's how she's moving her hands, like a robot.
voguing.
Yeah. I feel very safe and secure around her if a predator comes by.
Rob and Lizz.
His morning crew.
This is quite remarkable. Sam, did I say his name right?
I'm going to go with it.
I'm going to call him Sam.
Okay,
the
let's
last
call him
three,
Sam.
The last three letters of the name, Sam. He has been deaf since birth. Just turned 11 years old, went into the hospital, and they did gene therapy on him. And by golly, it worked.
Yeah, like 4 weeks after.
He can hear now. Now, this is the type because when you're born deaf and you can't hear, for the most part, this is for life. It's irreversible unless you have some kind of hearing aids or the cochlear implants. But this is brand new breaking gene therapy that they did on him, which is giving a lot of people hope right now.
Well, of course, especially if you have a family member and they've never been able to hear, you're probably watching how he does in the coming months and even the coming years. What I love about what Sam said, they said, okay, so what's your favorite sound? Can you imagine hearing things for the first time again? He said, well, I love all of them. He said, there's not a sound I don't like.
That's great.
I love that.
Hearing for the very first time. And now you got to understand what you're hearing.
Oh, exactly. Is that a bird or a cat?
Right.
You've got to sort of be taught those things, I would think.
And at 11 years old, you learn sign language.
Yes.
But then now you've got to learn language.
Yeah.
ABCs and how to talk and all that stuff.
And he's going to be instrumental in helping others who, have hearing loss, I believe, kind of bridging that gap and maybe having that compassion, understanding what they've been through and being able to communicate on several different levels.
Rob and Lizz.
His morning crew.
Here's this lady, her family, they go off to the hospital. They get to the front door of the hospital. It's like, I'm about to give birth anytime now. I got to get in here. The door is completely locked. Turns out she was not at the emergency room door. She was at the main hospital door and was at visiting hours. We're done. So the doors are locked. The security guard is like, I'm sorry, you got to go down that way. And so as they're trying to get over to the emergency room door, which is a long walk, she sits down on the bench and gives birth in front of the hospital.
Somebody's in trouble.
Well, yeah, security guard was not, they were not too happy with him.
Like, read the room, dude.
Yeah. Nurses went outside because
Yes.
they saw what was going on, so they quickly ran out. And the baby's going to be fine, mom's going to be fine, but wow.
Yeah, he said, well, it didn't look like an emergency situation. Maybe ask. Like, what's happening? But also, I've never been to a hospital where there were doors that were closed, especially like a main entrance. Now, there's security guards there, and there's somebody that you check in with, but I've never seen...
It depends. It depends on the city. It depends on the hospital. Metros might be open all the time, but if it's, a rural area...
Maybe.
There are certain hours. My in-laws in Michigan used to work, or she worked in the hospital system as a nurse. And the main doors were closed at a certain time of day when it's not visiting hours. That would be like in the evening.
I would never expect that in my brain, in my little bitty brain. I would never expect a hospital doors to be closed.
The emergency room always open.
Right.
Always
but
open.
But even the main entrance.
No, there's got to be a time that they are closed because of visiting hours.
Well, no. See, visiting hours to me seems very old school. As in, maybe it's because I haven't been to a hospital at 10 or 11 at night in a long time. I just feel like...
I think usually it's 8 o'clock for most
Really?
places. Yeah.
Okay.
Depending upon the situation of the patient.
Okay.
Of course.
Then
but on norm, it's around 8 o'clock in most places. I could be completely wrong.
Right. I'm a little naive in this myself.
Yeah. It's not like I'm at the hospital every day.
All the time.